Sasha Martinengo.
Storming down the pit lane.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.
A couple of seconds from now, we managed to get
Bulls.co.za.
Christopher back on the line. Don't know what happened there, Christopher. Maybe all of the rain around where you're living. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
We lost you in the international waves.
Okay. Christopher, I was saying, I mean, over 35 years at going to Les Sarthes, which is such a beautiful name for a circuit. You've seen the emotional, you've seen the spectacular, you've seen new additions, new kinds of technologies, but you must have also seen quite a lot of tragedy.
Yes, you have, and you can't ever get away from the fact that Le Mans is a race that's run for a large part of its distance on public roads, and though the safety now is at a very high level indeed, it's a tricky circuit. We so very nearly saw major tragedy last year in the middle of the night when a very backmarker American driver, an amateur, trying his best, wandered into the path of an Audi coming up to lap him again. The Audi doing about 60 miles an hour quicker than him. They clipped, and there was the most monumental destruction from which Mike Rockenfeller of Germany managed to walk away. But I must say, I thought I was once again talking into a microphone over a tragedy.
Yeah,
But every now and then, there are great escapes as well. I remember Peter Dunbreck and the Flying Mercedes. I think that's a well-known piece on YouTube with me saying, oh my, something or other, rather a lot, and while watching the Mercedes crashing into the trees, but Peter got up and walked away.
Yeah, incredibly. And Mark Webber had something very, very similar as well in the same kind of Mercedes.
In qualifying for the same race, yeah.
Yeah, incredible, those kind of incidents. Also, Christopher, the Le Mans is not the easiest race in the world to commentate on because a lot of it is waiting. And because it's so long in 24 hours, I mean, your knowledge of all of the teams also stems back to your, complete absorbed knowledge of motorsport.
You know, we say in the UK, when someone knows too much about something they're enthusiastic about, we call them an anorak, and I tell you, I've got quite a big anorak written on it. But and my partner in crime at the microphone, David Addison, for the past few years, who is now Britain's top trackside commentator live, as well as doing a lot of television, is immensely knowledgeable and great fun to work alongside. And the way we get through all our hours, Sasha, is we get guests into the studio. And that may be a team owner, it may be a past hero and driver. This year we hope to have people from Derek Bell, who's there actually racing in the historic support race, through to current team owners and drivers and so on. And we have a lot of amusing chat that keeps it going. But yeah, it's not like commentating on yesterday's Canadian Grand Prix with Alonso. It's just, it's a different technique of racing as well as it's a different technique of talking about it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the Le Mans has been going on for so many years, but it just has this incredible appeal. I think there were, maybe in the last decade, there were times when people were getting skeptical because of the way diesel engines and electric engines and hybrid engines were going to be introduced, and also sort of quite a few manufacturers pulling out of Le Mans, yet it seems to have bounced back incredibly.
Well, it certainly does, and of course this year we have Toyota with its hybrid power petrol-electric engines taking on Audi and their diesels, and Audi indeed have got some electrical hybrid support to two of their diesel cars. They're the cars called the e-trons, one of which is to be driven by McNish, Capello and Christensen, multiple winners, and has to in many ways start favourite. But hey, the manufacturer involved turned to the GT class, which is the one that sells most road cars, and you look to see factory Corvettes, factory Aston Martin, factory Ferrari, factory Porsche. The GT manufacturers really is a case of win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And for Audi and Toyota now, and the others who compete in the prototype classes, they're serious. These are serious big budget efforts. Audi spend as much to win Le Mans as one of the middle-ranking Grand Prix teams spend in the whole year.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary amount of money, and it's incredible also the development that they get from their Le Mans prototypes and how it, just like Formula One, goes back into road car development. So, an extraordinary...
Well, I mean, looking back to the other day, I was with the wonderful Sterling Moss as he drove his 1952 Le Mans Jaguar C-Type, the first car to race with disc brakes all round. And disc brakes, which we take for granted now, come from there. A lot of the safety elements in modern road cars come from what's been developed at Le Mans, because at Le Mans you have to be not just safe and steady and reliable, but you have to be quick. And that's what we want to know has gone into the engineering of our road cars. Yeah, there's direct technical transfer, and this year, of course, sees the very exciting Delta Wing car to run completely outside the classification, a number 56 car, built by a design created by a remarkable engineer called Ben Bowlby. He used to be technical director at Lola, and this is a car that weighs almost nothing, has a 1.6-litre turbo Nissan engine in it, and is out there to prove, in its extraordinary Delta Wing shape, it looks like a 1970s jet fighter. It's out there to prove that lightweight, small engines can still equal dramatic performance.
Well, I suppose we will have to wait until Sunday, 3 o'clock to find that out, because I know that it's not incredibly quick at the moment, but I suppose hopefully with its fuel efficiency it might be able to go a lot longer than the bigger powered Audis and Toyotas.
Yep, I was talking to team owner Duncan Dayton last night, the American entrepreneur behind all this, and he's confident that they can run a lot further than the other teams who will be stopping about every 55 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But listen, from over here, we've got to say to your listeners, where's the next South African sports car driver coming from, and who's going to come and join us at Le Mans soon? We used to have the pleasure of a lot of South African guys, and they come and join us in the commentary booth as well.
Well, I tell you, there, strangely enough, there are a couple of engineering works and teams here in South Africa that are working on a sort of LMP2 type design. I suppose it just comes down to a little bit of funding, Christopher, but hopefully we will have some South Africans back there in the very, very near future, because our South Africans have done relatively well when they have entered Le Mans.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, way back to the era of Group C in the middle 80s, Sal van der Merwe and all those guys, you could come and really show people up in privateer Porsches and so on. And we remember all those cars well. And indeed, some of them are racing in the Group C retrospective support race, which will happen on Saturday morning at the end of this week.
Yeah,
something to look forward to.
It really is a full weekend of action at Le Mans this weekend. Christopher, I want to take you back. I mean, you mentioned how safety has changed, but you go back to the 70s and 80s where you had cars doing over 400 kilometers down the Mulsanne Straight. I mean, those guys were, besides being a little bit crazy in the head, I mean, they were incredibly brave.
They were incredibly brave. I mean, a lot of people know the Steve McQueen film, Le Mans. It's a bit of a sort of icon among sports car fans and a wider public. And you think about that Porsche 917, 5 litres, blasting down the Mulsanne Straight, 230 miles an hour, as you say, over 400 Ks, in a car which had as its front crush protection a little aluminium frame which the pedals hung off, and some fiberglass. That was about it. And when you look at them now, and you look, I was talking earlier about Rockenfeller's accident last year in the factory Audi, he was left strapped in, as he should have been, to the sort of inner cage which protects all the drivers. Everything else had been knocked off, but he was safe inside that. This week we sadly commemorate the 40th anniversary of the loss of Joe Bonnier, former Grand Prix winner, great sports car champion, in a Lola powered by the then current Formula One engine. He died at Le Mans that year. And so it goes. On the other hand, we have to remember that many people survived, and this year we'll be celebrating the win at Aston Martin in 1959, because Roy Salvadori and Carroll Shelby have both passed away this year.
Correct.
They both passed away in their early 90s. So it goes to show that some from that era survived. So it's not all sad memories, but you're right. The change in safety from when I first went to Le Mans in 77 to now has been dramatic. Accidents still happen, but the protection and the testing that goes into making sure the cars are safe is astonishing.
It is quite remarkable, and it's actually great to see, I think, all round in motorsport, the different safety levels. This coming weekend, I mean, Christopher, the Audis have to be the favourites. It'll be great to see the Nissan going there. Do you think Toyota could have a chance to perhaps upset the apple cart?
Well, I mean, Toyota have got two very strong driving teams. One car led by Alexander Wurz, who's done it before for Peugeot and is a previous winner himself. The other by the Brit Anthony Davidson, just recently a Grand Prix driver. Mm-hmm. And they're both strong driving teams. The engineering is without doubt wonderful. But the fact of the matter is that the one thing I've learned over the years is that you don't win Le Mans first time out. And for Toyota, with the new car, with the hybrid, this is first time out, and realistically their expectations have got to be to run well in qualifying, frighten the Audis during the race, but I'd be very surprised if I'm still saying on Sunday morning, and here come the Toyotas still mixing it with the Audis. I just don't see them lasting. Could be wrong, but I don't see them lasting. The other, if you like, privateer teams at the front, the Pescarolos, the Lolas from Rebellion Racing and so on, are not going to get near the front six, the two Toyotas and the four Audis. And four Audis, you've got to say it's going to be hard to beat them.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm glad you brought up Pescarola and Henri Pescarola. He's just a man. I mean, he is legendary when it comes to Le Mans. Sometimes you just feel, his luck hasn't really been with him. And when things were sort of going right with Peugeot pulled out. I mean, he must be a very frustrated man at times.
He is a very frustrated man. I've obviously known Henri a very long time, and his wife Maddie, his most loyal supporter. And he's always had dramas, and he's always had a hard core of financial supporters and sponsors. But it is a perennially underfunded team. My concern this year is that Gerald Pesca has split his resources between building a new car known as the Pescarolo 03 and running the Japanese Dome car. They've both got Judd engines. They'll be run out of neighbouring garages. They've got two strong driving teams, including Sebastian Bourdais, multiple American champion, and Emmanuel Collard, Nicholas Malassian. Seiji Ara from Japan is in the Dome car, and he's a former winner, for heaven's sake, in an Audi a few years back.
Sure.
But nevertheless, you just feel, focus on one thing, Ollie, and try and do it as best you can, because you want to wish him well, but as you say, he's got to be looking for a place in the top six at best.
Yeah. Christopher, it is truly a pleasure to speak to you. Hopefully we can catch up with you after the Le Mans 24-hour next weekend to get your thoughts and let's see how your predictions have panned out.
Yes, it's always a bad thing. Well, a pleasure speaking to you. I'm sorry the telecoms let us down. I'm glad to have spoken to you. And as I say, I'd just say to all the South African fans, watch what you can, because we're going to be broadcasting a lot of this great race. We just got to hope the weather's good and enjoy it as much as you can, and try and plan to get over here another time to watch it. Just the biggest sports spectacle in the world, with one of the biggest live crowds in the world, with 250,000 people lining the track. It's a fantastic event.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. Fortunately, we here down in Supersport have the whole race 24 hours, so there's no excuse. Yeah. There's no excuse for any of our listeners here.
That's the one. Good to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Christopher Tate. There we go. Christopher Tate live from the UK. He's going to be making his way, of course, down to Le Mans this weekend. Catch his commentary as well. Unfortunately, the line wasn't the best, but hopefully you picked up most of it. We'll podcast that. But wait for his commentary, because this man is just makes Le Mans come alive.
Gearz on bulls.co.za with Sasha Martinengo.
He's kept himself out of trouble.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.